Hi guys, it's Prophetess Chanel here, and I want to come and I want to give this word that the Lord has given unto me concerning the things that are about to happen very quickly, because I see that these things are happening very quickly. He said that He is speeding the time, He is hastening it, He is doing it. Listen, that the Bible says He's shortening the days. He is shortening the days. We are going to see this year 2020. There's going to be so much that's going to happen in this year 2020. We're going to see it. It is going to be an eye opener. And I want to forewarn you guys, I usually try to make my videos very short, precise, and to the point, but this one is going to be just a little bit longer, so if you can bear with me. And also, I might get a little bit excited and a little bit loud, but it's because I'm going to be prophesying and I want to declare with boldness what the Lord has been speaking to me. So the title of this video is said, The Last Recession. Listen, the Lord spoke to me on last year. He gave me this word. He said, daughter, I'm turning it upside down. What was will be no more. It's God's hands that's working in the midst of this thing, even with the coronavirus. It's God's hand that's doing it. He is wise, so knowing. Who would have thought that one thing could turn and do this thing with the whole earth? Listen, God said He's turning it upside down. Just as this water, listen, just as this water bottle, you see you have water at the bottom. He said He's turning it. It's His hands that's doing it. He's turning the earth upside down. He is shaking it, and it will never go back to the way it used to be. I know a lot of people are waiting to go back, and I see even, in the United States where they're trying to get the economy back and running, but I'm telling you and I'm letting you know this earth will never go back to the way it was before. We are walking into a new era. We are walking into a new era, not just a new decade, but a new era. So I want to give you guys something that the Lord showed me. I'm going to be speaking about a couple of different topics, but they'll all tie in together. So the Lord says this. He said He's turning it upside down. According to Psalms 146 verse 9. I'm going to read it for you. And it says, the Lord preserveth the stranger. He relieveth the widows, but the way of the wicked He turns upside down. Listen to me. He said the way of the wicked He turns upside down. He's about to turn it, for guess what? We don't know, but God knows. We don't see, but God sees all. And I want to share you guys this vision. And this is why I can speak so boldly, because the Lord has been showing me these things since last year. And so last year around October, the Lord gave me this vision. And in this vision, I went into this store. And when I went into the store, I was looking at something in particular. And when I went in there, it was about $30-something. And so then I went back the next day. And when I went in the next day, the store was completely in a wreck. It was, the shelves had fallen off. It was stuff all over the floor. People were in there trying to find stuff. And so I went to go look for the thing that I had saw on the day before. And when I went, I picked it up, and it was like kind of scattered. I had to put the two things back together. So when I went to go check out, I checked out, and the lady told me how much it was, and the price had dropped dramatically. Listen to me. It had dropped dramatically, and that was not like a physical thing. It wasn't. It was in the dream. It was like a book bag, but I know it represents something else. So then, this is what happened as well. So I said, okay, at that point, I said, okay, let me go, since it's so low, let me go back and let me go find something else for my kids. So I went, and when I went back, she came and she brought the book back to me, and she put the tag in front of my face, and what was 30 something, I believe it's like $36, it was a slash, and then it went down to like 20 something, and it was another slash, and then it went down like to 15 something and another slash, all the way down to $6. So what was 30 something dollars went down to $6. The Lord said He is bringing it low. He is about to bring it all the way low. It's coming down. I'm telling you, this is what the Lord is saying. He said this. He's bringing it. He said He's bringing it down. He said it will never go back to the same way it was before. He said this. He said the mighty men will fall, and it will come to them unexpected, like a deer caught in the headlight. So for the past couple months, the Lord had been dealing with me with the gas and the oil. And if you see my other video, you will see where the Lord had told me to go get a gas can, a red gas can, and I had to wait on His instructions for it. And He began to really speak to me concerning the gas and the oil. And the other morning, I did a video, and He told me this. He said it's going to be like a domino effect. It's going to be one thing after another, after another, after another. Listen to me. He said this. It's going to be such a sudden thing. It's going to be like a deer caught in the headlights. He says, listen, I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys this. I was in prayer one morning, and the Lord began to have me pray. And I know that when the Lord has me pray for something more than one time, he's coming quickly and he mean what he says. And I've been praying for the same thing 3 times, three separate days. I was praying for this thing. And this time the Lord says this. He said he's bringing it down. And he said it will be a notable day. I don't know if you guys ever go on the internet, like on Google or on like Microsoft or Bing, but they have like on there where you see certain events. It said on this day, on this year, on this day, on this year, this happened or whatever. He said it's going to be just like that. It's going to be a notable day, a day to remember. We are going to remember this day. And he said the mighty is going to fall, and they are going to be the ones caught with holding the bag. That's what I heard. They're going to be caught holding the bag. So watch this. I had this vision, and I don't want to share the name of this one particular celebrity, but I'm going to show you the name of the other one, and it's for a reason. So watch this. I had this vision, and in this vision, there was a famous celebrity that is an athlete and his wife. And so in the vision, the sun began to come back up. And if you saw the other vision I had, the sun had fell out of the sky. So the sun means the economy. So the sun began to come back up. But when the sun began to come back up, it started to burn them on their backs. And the wife asked the husband, could you please go get the umbrella? But when he got the umbrella, she opened it up and the umbrella just fell apart. And this is what she said out of her mouth. She said, man, I hate these umbrellas. They are so cheap. And the Lord said to me, they that trust in horses and chariots, listen to me. Listen, you got to know where you put your trust at. That's what that means. They that trust in the economy, they that trust in the money and the dollar, they are about to see that thing fall down to the ground. And then listen, the Lord showed me Oprah. I saw Oprah, and Oprah was complaining because they were not helping her. And she had lost so much. And this is what the Lord said. I said, how is it that you're complaining? Aren't you the one that was giving away cars? And the Lord says this. He said he's about to cause the mighty to fall. It will be like a domino effect, one thing after another. He told me this. I said this before. This is something that he gave me. He said the dollar is going to fall, and it's going to get so bad in this country that they are going to take their money and they're going to try to hide in other countries. But guess what? Also, the euro is going to fall. Watch this. The dollar is going to fall and the euro is going to fall. I don't know where they're going to hide their money at, but it's going to fall. And this is going to be the precipitating factors for what we see in the Bible of a one world system. This is going to be the start of it, but it's not coming yet. Watch this. He said, as it was with the beggar, so will it be with the rich man. I was in prayer one morning and the Lord said, as so it is with the beggar, so will it be with the rich man. He said he's going to bring it low. And I don't want to go ahead of myself. I don't want to skip, but I'm going to I want to read this word, because watch this. Samuel's mother was prophesying. We're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 2. Hannah was prophesying. There's a lot of things in the book, but this one, listen, that we don't consider to be prophecy, but this is a prophecy. Hannah's song and prayer that she sung when she brought Samuel unto Eli to dedicate him to him and to leave him in the temple, she was prophesying. I'm going to read it here. It says, 1 Samuel chapter 2, and it says, and Hannah prayed and said, my heart rejoiceth in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none beside thee, neither is there any rock like our God. It says this, talk no more exceedingly proud. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumble are girded with strength. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry cease, so that the barren have borne 7, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble. The Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. He raised up the poor out of the dust and lifted up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the Lord, for the pillar of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the word upon him. Listen to me. Like he said, he is about, so as it is with the beggar, so will it be with the rich man. He is about to turn this thing upside down into where we saw the impoverished. Listen, he is about to turn it in their favor. I don't want to get ahead of myself. He about to turn it in his favor. He says he would keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto kings and exalt the horn of his anointed. That is God's word. Listen, Hannah was prophesying. I'm pretty sure she probably didn't even know, but Hannah was prophesying. And I'm going to say this. We did not, for many of us millennials, we thought that we needed Bernie and we thought that we needed Elizabeth Warren to come in and step and bring reform and change. But I'm telling you this. I'm telling you what the Lord told me. The Lord says this: power belongs to him. He said we did not need Bernie. We did not need Warren to come and take money from the top and bring it down to the bottom. Listen, just hold on a little bit. Oh, I know you guys are disappointed and sad, but just hold on. Wait a minute, because power belongs to God, and God is going to do it in his own way. We don't need man to do it. God knows how to do it. And the ones that were poor, he said he will make the first to be last and the last to be first. Listen to me. He will visit us. He is going to visit us. And I remember one day I was praying. I began to pray on last year, and the Lord began to let me feel the burden of those who are being oppressed, those who are being, burdened down with high payments, even for like apartments and things that we need. Listen, God said he's going to turn that thing upside down. He's going to turn it upside down, and he's going to do it in a favor. So watch this. Psalms 46:10 says this: trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. God have spoken. Once, twice have I heard this, that power belongeth unto God. Also unto thee, O Lord, belongeth mercy, for thou renderest to every man according to his work. Listen, power belongs to God. God been saying this to me over and over again. He says, twice have I said it, power belongs to him. Men think that they know. Men think that they can come in and say what will happen. Men think that they have control and power. They're trying to open back up the government. They're trying to put things back in order. They're trying to give us stimulus checks to try to boost this thing, but I'm telling you, it's coming, and it's not going back to the way it was. I'm telling you, the Lord showed me this thing is going to come down so low. Listen, to where they used us, and to where they stole, and to where there was usury and bribery, and to where there was a high capital gain. God is about to bring it all the way low. I was praying one morning, and the Lord gave me this word. He gave me the word extortion, and I'm going to read you the definition. It says the extortion is a practice of obtaining something, especially money, through force or threats. This is how God sees. He gave me this word. He said the Fair Deal Act. He gave me that. The Fair Deal Act. Watch this. Why is he saying this? Because listen, he's tired of the people being oppressed to where they pay little money to get these things made and developed, and then they over excessively make gains on top of it. But God says no. He is not against prosperity. He is not against us making money off of things, but he is against over access of gains. So the Lord said to me this. He says there is going to be something that's going to come out called the Fair Deal Act, and we are going to see a limit on capital gains. They are not going to be able to gain excessively over a fair amount. I heard fair price. Listen, these things I don't know anything about. The Lord took me to his finance school and began to teach me. He says, no, I see that. I do not like that. I do not like usury. I do not like extortion. I do not like access. Listen, this is not a balanced thing. This is not something that is balanced. It is theft in the eyes of God. When we go over to China and they charge us maybe 5 cents to $1, and we come here and we make 1,000 profit off of it. God says, no, that is not right, and that is not just. Where we take from the middle class and we take from the poor class, and they make the necessities, they overprice even our phones, the necessities, even our apartment, the rent, the needs that we actually need, that we have to have. They make a high capital gain off of it. But God says, no more. He is bringing it down. He's bringing it low. He's going to set it up in order the way that he wants it, because he hears the cries of his oppressed. The high mortgage payments, even on the housing market. The Lord began to show me how he's about to bring it low. It's going to come down. It is going to come crashing down because of the things that they've done. Listen, people, we don't even understand this thing. They only pay a little amount of money for it to build some of these houses. It doesn't take that much. But then they put all this stuff on top of it. And I'm telling you, even with the car industry, it's so many industries. Listen, guys, these things that we need, necessities, and they overprice it because they know that we need it. But God says no more. God says no more, for a Fair Deal Act is coming. And he is the one that's putting it into place. He is the one that is enacting it. He is the one that's going to put it where it needs needs to go. And we will see it be turned upside down. And it will not be the same way any longer. So they can do what they wish. But guess what God is going to do is, and this will be the last recession, because God is turning it upside down. And it will never go back to the way that it was before, because power belongs to God. And many of you don't believe in prophecy. You may not understand this, but I'm telling you, you're going to see this thing come to pass. You're going to see it. They will try, but it will not work. They will try, but it will fail. Many high men and high standards, high men, millionaires, you're going to see them. They are going to fall. They are going to lose a lot. There will be a lot of loss to them. Why? Because God is not pleased. He is not pleased with the oppression. He is not pleased with the usury and the bribery. He is not pleased. He is not pleased with the greed. He is not pleased with it. He's not pleased. He's not pleased. So I'm going to keep going. The Fair Deal Act. Limit how much capital gain we can make on a specific product or service. He's going to make it a fair price. He's going to make it a fair price. They will no longer be able to become rich off of the backs of the poor and the middle class. Listen to me. Listen, I want to read something. I'm going to go here really quickly because the Lord gave me this in Revelation chapter 6. I'm going to read this really quickly because he gave this to me, that even in the days of Elijah, because many didn't believe it. He said, listen, even in the days of Elijah, the man stood at the gate and Elijah began to say unto him that the shekel, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember that word. I'm talking so fast. He called that there was going to be like a recession. There was a man at the gate who didn't believe him. He said, even if there was windows in heaven, how could this thing be? Listen, many don't believe, but if you don't believe, then you won't prepare. And in the place of preparation, when it comes, you will not be prepared. You will not be able to gain and access the benefits of this thing. So I want to show you this one. I want to show you this one. It's Revelation chapter 6, and it's verse 5. And it says, when he ripped off the third seal, I heard the third animal cry, come out. I looked, a black horse this time. It is a rider, carry a set of scales in his hand. I heard a message. It seemed to issue from the four animals, a quart of wheat for a day's wages, or 3 quarts of barley, but all the oil and the wine that you want. And I want to read that in the King James version. I'm going to read it again. And it says this, verse 5, and it says, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say on, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see that thou hurt not the oil and the wine. It's coming down, guys. You guys got to be prepared for it, but it is coming. For God says he pities the poor, and he pities the poor, and he will not despise them. I remember one day the Lord gave me that. He said, I pity the poor and I will not despise them. What do you mean by that? Some of these countries that have been impoverished, some of these countries that have had bad economic situations happen, inflation due to bad ruling and governing and in their government. Listen, those people who sit in high places, who take money from the people, even the people who are in the travel industry, some of those high travel countries, those tourist attractions, who take money from the tourist attractions for the people. They give them land and ownership to come in, but then you go into the inner cities and you see how impoverished they are. They're working for little to nothing. They're trying to, when you come to visit them, they try to sell you all this stuff because the money is not being equally spread out through the country. But God says no, he is about to tear it down, and once what was will be no more. Listen to me. He said he pitied the poor and he will not despise them. We are going to see a shift in the world's economy, and God is going to favor the poor. The mighty men will fall. We are going to see God's judgment on world leaders. Listen to me. He says this last night to me. He said, do not spare the wicked, because I do not know the wicked things that they do. He said to me, he said, do not spare the wicked, because I do not know the wicked things that they do. When we're going to see judgment come upon a lot of these world leaders, listen to me. And I've been praying for a lot of these countries, but God says, now I'm visiting these leaders. I'm visiting them. I'm visiting those in politics. I'm visiting Supreme Court. I'm visiting the governors and the mayors. I'm visiting them. He said, do not spare them when you see the destruction come. Do not have pity. Why? Because you don't know the evil things that they do. God sees all. all. His eyes go to and forth throughout the earth, beholding the good and the evil. Everything God does is just. Every judgment that God brings on a man is just. Listen to me. There's nothing that God does that is unjust. God is wise. He is long suffering. He is patient. But God is also a God of justice and judgment. And he hates those that go against justice. He hates those who do not use things fairly. He hates those who oppress. He hates those who use usury. Listen, he told me that. He said, do not spare them, because you don't know. You don't see the things that they do. So watch this. He says this. But God knows, and he will have many of them fall from many different strange ways. We're about to see some things happen. I heard a couple of people names. I began to pray for North Korea last year, and I see what's happening even with their leader. Listen, God is not going to allow these people, and we think as Christians that God only hears the cries of the Christians. God says no. He hears the cries of the oppressed. He hears the cries of the poor. He hears the cries of the prisoners and those in captivity. And these people who think that they can hold God's people, they belong to God, whether they know him or not yet. They still belong to him. And he wants them, and they put sanctions on them, and they put all kind of things on them. Even in China, how they put the cameras, and they have so much control and fear there. God says no. He does not cause no man. A man's life belongs to him. It belongs to him. It does not belong to any dictator, any ruler, nothing. No man has the ability to own another man but God. These children belong to God. Men belongs to God. Life belongs to God, and so does death. But I'm not going to go ahead of myself. God hates injustice and oppression. God hears them. Though they may not be Christian, God still hears them. So watch it. These are some of the countries that God says he hears. Venezuela, he says, God, he hears you. Argentina, he hears you. North Korea, he hears you. China, he hears you. Cuba, he hears you. The oppressor will oppress you no longer. I declare unto you on today. Venezuela, they won't oppress you. Argentina, they will not oppress you. North Korea, they will not oppress you. China, they will not oppress you. The oppressor will oppress you no more. For those, the God who comes to set captivity captive is coming to set the captive free. I declare unto you on today, God is coming, and he is charging them. He is charging them on this morning. He is charging them, and they are being charged with oppression as God is coming, and he is coming to set you free. He is coming to set you free. The oppressor will oppress no longer. Just like Pharaoh, he's saying, you better let his people go. Let them go. Open up the gates. Let them freely go as they please. Loose the sanctions off of them. Loose the mind control off of them. Loose these things, these bans you have on them, where you have them working in these factories for little to nothing, but you gain the gain off of it. God says, let them go. He is coming for you. And watch this. Watch this. God is coming. And I'm coming to the United States of America. The Lord said he's coming. He's coming for the government of the United States of America. God is coming for the wicked rulers. The other morning I began to pray. Oh my gosh. And listen to me. The Lord began to speak to me about our senators and the ones who sit in the Supreme Court and the ones who make laws and legislation. And he says this. He says, I have a book on them. I have a book of remembrance. I have a book that is recorded on them for every time they said yay when they should have said nay, and every time they should have said nay when they should have said yay. He said, I have a book recorded on them, and every time they went against their conscience, and every time they voted against their heart and their morals, every time they went against the thing pricking in their heart they knew, every time they allowed the lobbyists to control their vote, God says now he is coming for them. He is coming for them. They will not go away innocent. Those who made changes to the Constitution without God's permission, those who went up against God's rules and ordinances for the United States of America, God said he is coming for them. Listen to me. He says this, even on abortion, he said God is coming for them. Those who voted on same-sex marriages, that was not ordained and that was not lawful for the Supreme Court, the Lord said he's coming and he is about to break their javelins. He is coming for it because they had no right to rule against this thing for what God has ordained. Who are you to judge against it? God said he's coming against it, and he's going to turn this thing around and he's going to turn it back upside down. Listen to me. Even the amendments to the Constitution Even the law of immigration. I want to slow down. And this is the last thing I'm going to say, because watch this. The Lord had to bring this thing back to me, because even on last year, I began to really get caught up, on politics. And the Lord said to me, he said, do not get caught up in politics. He began to show me, he says, daughter, I am not a Democrat and I am not a Republican. I am God. I'm not Democrat and I'm not Republican. Many think that God would be a Republican because some things in the Bible are lean more toward conservative. But God says, no, I am God and I am God alone. You cannot put me in a box of one political party. He says, no, I am God and I am God alone. And the Lord began to show me this, because listen to me, my mind was in error concerning this thing and God had to correct me. So he began to, one morning I began to pray and I saw the United States of America. And this is the last thing. I saw the United States of America. And as I began to pray, I saw like a light radiating from all around the United States of America. And I saw on top of it, I saw keep borders open. This was about 2 weeks ago. And I began to pray and I said, keep the borders open. But I really did not understand. I just began to pray as he gave me utterance, right? So after I said, Lord, what do you mean? Because we have this coronavirus and they have all the borders shut down. Every country has their borders shut down. What do you mean keep the borders open? And he took me to the book of Matthew, where it says, he said to the people, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. And when I was sick, you visited me. When I was a stranger, you took me in. Listen, he says, no, I am for the strangers, daughter. He says, no, they cannot close the borders. They cannot put sanctions on immigration. He said this country was built on immigration. The people of this country come from immigration. Listen, this land does not belong to us. This country is a country of immigrants. Oh gosh, everybody here is an immigrant. None of us have ownership of this land. He said we cannot shut the border and we cannot put restrictions and limits. Listen, people have been here for 10 years and trying to get their naturalization. He says, no, it's not right. And what they're doing and what Trump is putting up, he says, no, it's not right. And I do not agree with it. So then the other night, somebody put it to my attention, because I hadn't even seen it, to where he put the executive order. And the Lord had showed me before. He told me abuse of power. And I put it on my Facebook. I said, please pray for the president, because I just heard abuse of power and I heard executive order. And the Lord began to show me, this is what I was showing you. He had no right. This is an abuse of power. He has no right to close these borders. These borders do not belong to him. He has no right. Listen, God says this, take in the orphans and the widows and the strangers. And if you don't believe me, let me take you to the book, because he had to bring me right to this book. And we're going to the book of Ezekiel. Okay, and I'm going to take you here, Ezekiel chapter 47, verse 21. I'm going to go here. It says this. Ezekiel 47 verse 21. So shall ye divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you. And they shall be unto you as born in the country. Among the children of Israel, they shall have inheritance with you among the tribe of Israel. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, guys, listen, there shall he give him his inheritance, saith the Lord God. He said, I want you to treat them just as if they were born in this country. I want you to treat them no differently. I want you to give them an inheritance, and I want you to give them land. If they have children here, I want you to treat them just as if they were born here. God says, no, he is not happy. He is not pleased with how we are treating those that are coming from other countries. But guess what? God is going to turn it upside down. And I want to pray for you immigrants, and I want to pray for you those who are coming in here. And I'm not saying that God is okay with you breaking the law. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, God hears. Listen, there are people that have come into this country escaping religious persecution. There are people that have come into the country that God has ordained them. My church is full of people. I don't believe probably 75% of my church come from different countries, from the islands. Listen to me. I'm telling you, God has placed this country in a place. He has caused this country to be blessed. He has caused this country to flourish because of our basic foundation. And now we are moving from what God has established. But he says, no, he is going to allow them to prosper. And the ones that we put away, God is going to favor them. Listen to me. I charge you on this morning to pray, because God is not pleased. And even how we are trying to close our borders, God says no. He does not accept the closed borders on this morning. And we are about to see a shaking because he has abused his power. And God says no to this thing. God says no. And God says he is for the immigrants. He is for the undocumented. He is for those awaiting their visa. He is for those awaiting their naturalization. He is for those escaping bondage. He is for those escaping, oh God, oppression. He is for them. He is for them trying to get a better life in this country. God is for them. I want to encourage you, immigrants, even where they have not even given you a piece of the portion, even for this CARES Act, for the stimulus, God is not pleased. For they are in this country. And if you are giving it away, they deserve to have something. You cannot leave them without. What will they do? What do they have? How will they eat? How will they pay their bills? They are here. That whether you believe in how they got here or not, they are here. And God says you ought to give them their share of their inheritance. God is coming forward on this morning. And I'm going to say this last warning and then I'm done. For those of you who are trying to open up governors, God says this God says this to me. For the governors that are trying to open up, he says this according to Hebrew chapter 13. He is the one that put them into place. He is the one who put ordinances and rulers into place. Listen to me. He has given you as a watchman over your states and over your counties and over your cities. But watch this. If you go against a shut-in, because God has shut this thing in. He shut us in. If you go against a shut-in, we are going to see a resurgence like no other. So this is the word that the Lord has given unto me. I am excited about what's to come. I am excited. God is about to bring it low. He's about to turn it upside down. He is about to do it, people of God. Get ready, get ready. We are about to see some major things happening. Do not blame it on the devil, for it is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in his sight. And for those of you who do not believe, I want to say this to you. Power belongs to God. And this last thing, let God be true and every man a liar, for he will perfect those things concerning us, and he watches over every one of his words to perform it, and it shall come to pass. So you guys have a blessed night. Please like, share this video, send it whoever you would like to. If you would like to subscribe, that would be great as well. So I wanted to just say, share this with you guys, because this is something that the Lord has been speaking to me on. So you guys have a blessed night and be prepared.